All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get back into more of that solo leveling Ragnarok goodness. Cohagen, I see you right there. Let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Shall we? Let us begin. I feel silly today. But seriously. Yo, peoples! Qushu92 here, and welcome back to more solo leveling Ragnarok. In the last chapter, we had Suho confronting the transformed Lee Sung, and Lim Tae-gyu took part in as well, trying to get questions from both of them. But in the midst, they both managed to escape Lim Tae-gyu. And now, Suho has already prepared himself as Lee Sung's body overtaken by the apostle has gone to like the highest point in the forest or highest point in the area, and Suho has met him here, and now he's preparing to face off against Lee Sung. So let's see what happens in chapter 40. And we begin with a very long panel of Suho standing with his summons. All of them. And we have the apostle-controlled Lee standing there as well. Notification! An urgent quest has arrived. Urgent quest. Eliminate Lee Sung, the apostle of Iterim. Lee Sung has been possessed by the apostle of Iterim. Defeat him to gain access to his memories. Enemies to defeat. 1! This is a quest set by the system. Hold on, man. Y'all don't know. I've been looking forward to this fight for forever. I've been looking forward to this fight for so long, and now I can't wait to view it. So let me just get here. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Yes. Let's do this. Okay, there we go. So that way I can see chat as well. Things are behaving kind of odd today, so apologies for that. Still working on OBS so that way it doesn't act all wonky for you guys. 7 chapters more to go, because you said it was like the end of like a season, right? But urgent quest. I also gotta adjust my mic. And also refresh it as well. I'll do this after the stream. Urgent quest. Eliminate Lee Sung, the apostle of Iterim. Lee Sung has been possessed by the apostle of Iterim. Defeat him to gain access to his memories. Enemies to defeat. 1. And Suho immediately uses the bond skill of gray, and his hair goes all white. He gets the markings on his eyes. His ears gets all pointed. Essel standing with him. The system wants me to eliminate Lee Sung. I guess this is it. The time has come. I'll have to actually kill someone. And the apostle is standing in front of Suho, pointing and brandishing his sword in front of him. Bring down the brightness just a little bit. I'm light skinned, but not that light skinned. And then Park is back. And he has his hands closed as he's thinking to himself like he's praying, but he's going, "That's strange. Have I changed because of the new emotions that have awakened in me?" TL's pieces share the main body's memories. Oh, wait. TL's pieces share the main body's memories. I think I finally understand what I was feeling as I stood before the darkness. I was captivated by his absolute power. Ooh, that's an apt way of describing the power of Jin. I was absolute power. This is the power of Jin described by someone who's incredibly powerful already, and they look at Jin and they say, "I am captivated by your absolute power." I was captivated by his absolute power. A lone powerful warrior fighting to stop an entire army of enemy forces. I longed to know more about the darkness, who battled in solitude. I wonder if this boy will be able to give me the answers I need. And then Park just opens his eyes brimming with apostle power. And the first move is made by Suho's group as Rasaka, the giant snake, a shadow version of it, goes for Lee immediately. And as it gets closer, Lee proceeds to slice this thing straight through. Not slice its head off, not slice it through the face, but slice it from mouth all the way down the body with one swipe. And when that happens, the pieces of Rasaka, like the halves of it, just falls past him. Kind of the way how Yamamoto defeated Ion during the Fate Karakura arc, where he just slashed straight through it, and then the pieces of Ion just fell past Yamamoto. Pretty much similar to that. But then, while his wings are in front of his face, shielding him from the debris of the enemy he just defeated, Suho can be seen in between the wings. I had to bring it down a little bit further. Can be seen in between the wings of Lee Min-sung, much to his surprise. And Suho prepares to punch him, and Lee puts up his sword as Suho connects with it. Were the Shadow Warriors just a distraction? Does he intend to fight me himself? Is he that confident in his hand-to-hand combat skills? And that smile that Lee had that entire time, Lee, TL, Park Dojin, the Apostle, they all share the same name at this point. So if I say any of those four, know that I'm referring to the same person, unless I say Park Dojin specifically. But that smile he had before, it's gone. And he tries to swipe at Suho, but Suho dodges. And the cut is so powerful, it winds up cutting some of the shadow centipedes that Suho brought with him. Suho goes Sesshomaru wannabe. I don't know if we could say Sesshomaru. I'm trying to think of who's a good alternative to how Suho looks right now. But yeah, Lee swipes at Suho. He dodges, like he leans back. You know how confident you have to be in dodging to physically lean backwards from an attack? Not like duck, but just lean backwards? He leans and his shadow centipedes get cut off. Then we have Essel that appears right next to the Apostle, and she goes in to attack, but the Apostle just moves out of the way, just casually dodges as if Essel attacking is nothing to worry about. And then he proceeds to grab her spear. He's not only dodging it, but then he catches it. And then he starts holding up Essel, and we see that the size of the Apostle is very large. Because Essel is a, relatively tall individual in her own right. Basically, he is holding the spear that she has, and holding her off the ground, and she is like minuscule in terms of her actual size to him. And he's ready to brandish his sword as he goes, "You're not a shadow warrior, are you?" And Essel starts to tremble just a little bit as tears start to well up in her eyes just a little. And before the Apostle can do anything, Suho comes in and just kicks him in the face, just like, how Rayleigh came in and saved the Straw Hats from Kizaru, just came zipping in and then spent his leg around and then kicked Kizaru's leg off to the side. It was essentially like that. Suho came in and then manages to land a solid hit on the Apostle's face. And there's like a smoking mark on the side of the face of the Apostle as well, as the Apostle turns his head back. Why aren't you letting your Shadow Warriors lead the battle? If my Shadow Warriors are what you want, I'll be more than happy to send them after you. And then all of a sudden, we get hands that suddenly grab the Apostle. And as the Apostle turns around, something starts to form around him as his body starts to get covered in sand. Oh, Saika came out of nowhere. That's Saika. Yeah, it's Saika. Saika, the tomb guardian of the tomb, just comes up and starts to cover the apostle in sand and also grabbing him. Like, what is this sand coffin? It's like it's like a sand coffin, and it starts binding him. And then the apostle is just looking unperturbed as we start to see more and more sand swirl around the apostle and start to slowly cover its face, but it's still glaring at Suho. And Suho looks like he's preparing to attack as well, as his gauntlets are glowing. And his gauntlet glows white. And then the apostle's just standing there as sand continues to wrap around his face, looking like dead-faced. And before either Saika and Suho can do anything, the apostle just explodes, like causes power to emanate from his body, blowing away the sand and making Suho shield his face. And then there's just a massive dust cloud that covers the entire area. Did he use that explosion to free himself from the sand trap? And in the smoke, we can see the apostle's gleaming eye as he goes, "It seems that I was expecting too much from you." As all of a sudden, Suho manages to put his hands up as the apostle swipes at him. And the next thing we see is just high-speed movement as Suho's orc gets hit, Essel gets hit. Not only does she get hit, but her spear gets snapped in half as well. Yeah, Essel just got slashed completely in the shoulder. And one of his red high orcs gets slashed, basically just gets completely bisected. You know, Darth Maul style. And while Suho's looking, we see his gauntlets have suffered some crack damage as well. And all we see is the apostle in the distance while slicing through all of his shadow soldiers and Essel going, "You disappoint me. The shadow warriors that the darkness summoned were sentient fighters with skill and experience. They behave just like a well-trained army. Your skill may appear similar at first glance, but you're so weak that it almost feels like an insult to compare you to him. I can tell by the way you fight that you have no idea how to make use of your gift. You're neither here nor there." And then Suho's thinking, dang, Lehman Sung's become a much tougher opponent since the Apostle Viterim took over his body. This bastard's probably just as powerful as an S-rank. And that's when the Apostle, firstly, Suho realizes that this dude might be a lot stronger than I thought he was because the Apostle took over Lee's body. And at the same time, the Apostle launches towards Suho. "I see now why the darkness sought solitude. There's clearly no one in this world who is even close to being his equal. It's impossible for anyone to understand a being who holds that much power." And it's just the Apostle constantly attacking Suho, who can only do nothing but defend. My dad sought solitude? And then we see that his gauntlets are starting to crack under the pressure of the Apostle's attacks. No, they don't just crack, they straight up break off of his arms. They just fall off of Suho's hands. Literally in pieces. Item, the Vulcan's horn has been destroyed. And the Apostle stabs Suho in the chest. Immediately. He stabs Suho in the chest. Young master! You have power, but you lack the sense of self to wield it. And that's why I will be taking the authority of the darkness from him. I'll turn him into a follower, and then steal this ability from him by any means necessary. Once I do that, I might finally be able to understand the darkness. But and it shows blood dripping down the apostle's sword as Suho is gripping onto it.
I have power, but I lack a sense of self?
And mind you, Suho has not left the bond skill of gray. His hair's still white, he still has the markings, his eyes are still glowing, he's still there.
Didn't Lee Min-sung say something similar? The kind of character with no ego of his own. You let others decide what good and evil is, and fool yourself into thinking that you really have a choice between the two. You have no idea what it is that you truly want, do you? You're just like him, a loser side character who just happened to be lucky enough to come into some power. You'll see. Someday you'll find yourself in a desperate situation, and you'll end up making the same choice that I did. Ability and skill. What else do I need to become powerful?
And then Beru is Beru just watching all this, or is he watching? Oh, no. Beru, this is still a flashback. Beru's someplace on the couch eating popcorn going, "Young master, why don't you use your shadow-enhanced weapons anymore?"
Oh, well, because the Vulcan's horn is stronger. Besides, right now I have the bond skill, the commander's authority, and my shadow soldiers. I'm not really confident that I can handle shadow-enhanced weapons on top of all that.
You can do it, young master. You're a prodigy after all. I, Beru, believe in you.
No, that's okay. Didn't you say that my dad never used shadow-enhanced weapons during battle? I'm sure there's a reason why he never used them. And if he couldn't pull it off, what chance do I have?
Well, all right, if that's how you feel.
When did this start? When did I start setting limits for myself?
And it shows Suho as he's holding a pencil, and he's in front of like a drawing canvas.
Oh. Are these leftover feelings from before I awakened? Is this how I tried to justify my failures? That reminds me, I haven't drawn a single picture since I awakened. I used to love drawing.
That feels like a personal attack as well, because I used to draw a ton as well, and then I started doing other things. That feels like that's kind of personal for me as well.
You have no idea what it is that you truly want, do you? You'll see someday. You'll find yourself in a desperate situation, and you'll end up making the same choice that I did.
And these same words are still echoing within Suho.
He's right. It's all true. The system will decide when I reunite with my father. I'll find my mother eventually, as long as I keep focusing on getting stronger. I can't think of a single reason of my own for wanting to become stronger. Why have I been so fixated on following in my father's footsteps? That's not what Dad needs right now. He doesn't need someone who's just trying to copy him. I have to find something I can do. Something only I can do.
And while it shows in this Mindscape Suho's drawing, we see like this drawing of his father surrounded by darkness, and that's what he's stemming this drawing from. And then we cut back. Then we cut back to the present, Suho bleeding all over, bleeding from the mouth, and then Suho starts to point his finger as he goes,
"Arise."
While the apostle is holding Suho's body up with a sword sticking through his body, Sephiroth style. And then a light starts to shine. Shine behind the apostle.
Of course, the Shadow Warriors are immortal, so they can be reanimated over and over again. Still, your warriors will never be a real threat to me.
And it shows them forming all around the apostle. But the shadows are starting to all the shadows are starting to mesh into one, and this catches Park's attention.
Are the warriors merging into one another? I don't remember anything like this happening during our battles with the darkness. A chimera?
Yeah, and they're all combining into just one being. And then Gray stops being a part of Suho and goes back to being a wolf again.
Gray?
And then Suho, his eyes start shining. The light in the distance is shining behind him. And then his whole face starts to be engulfed in shadow. It starts to look like it's about to be engulfed in shadow. To be continued? No! How dare you! I gotta wait until next week. I gotta wait until next week. No! I want to be continued. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the 40th chapter of Solo Leveling Ragnarok. I like this chapter. A lot of fighting between the Apostle versus Essel and the Shadows and Suho. But since the empowerment of the Apostle, Lee Min-sung, while his body is being possessed right now, is currently comparable to being pretty much an S-rank individual right now. And we lost the Vulcan's horns. You know, the weapons that get stronger with every demon that Suho kills. Well, those jokers is gone now. Them things is gone. I thought we was gonna see those things get super powered up over time, but no, apparently not. Those things got destroyed by the Apostle. Not only that, but Suho has been grievously injured. Now, let me tell you what this moment reminds me of. This moment reminds me of Jin being on death's door. Jin being on death's door. Him fully unlocking the power of the Shadow Monarch. And that's when we saw Jin go from being like this overpowered individual to literally just being him. The moment where he gained the full power of Ashbourne. And then Icarus opened up the cape and Jin walked through it, fully realizing the limitless power that he had. And he started wiping everybody. Like the Beast Monarch, just thinking about it. Oh, I can't. Oh, also, for those who don't know, I don't know if you've seen my announcement. I will be reading the Solo Leveling light novel in June. It's going to be a full 20 chapter per session endeavor where I will go through the entire story of Solo Leveling. From beginning to end. There's like 270 chapters, but I'm going to go through the entire series through the light novel throughout June until I finish the entire series. So I can't wait to read this moment that I'm referring to. Like, the Beast Monarch knew back then that Jin was about to be a serious problem, and so he tried to escape. Jin didn't even move. He just sent out a radar sense that covered the entire planet and located where the Beast Monarch was going to be and just walked right next to him, just teleported right next to him. That had to be one of the biggest, just thinking about it right now, it was just one of the biggest flexes from Jin back then. But I said all that to say this. This moment of Suho being stabbed through the chest, his most powerful weapons, the Vulcan horns, or at least more powerful weapons at the time, the Vulcan's horns being completely and utterly destroyed, him basically losing Essel getting slashed through, all this happening is so reminiscent of what happened to Jin before Jin started to become so strong that the only one who could pose a threat to him was really just Antares, and even that was short-lived. This seems to be the same moment for Suho. However, he doesn't have Ashbourne talking inside his head in order for him to fully realize that he fully realize his potential. Suho is thinking, I don't want to do this because it's so similar to my dad, or I don't want to do what my dad is doing, or wait, why did I started limiting myself? Why am I trying to be so similar to my father? If my dad didn't do this, then I shouldn't do either. But wait a minute. Why am I limiting myself? When did I start limiting myself? So now Suho is getting the idea of, I don't need to be like my father. I don't need to fight like my father. I don't need to follow in the same footsteps as my father. So now he's realizing that I can go beyond plus ultra for myself. Because my father doesn't need someone who's just trying to copy him and they're already struggling here. My father doesn't need someone who's just trying to copy him and then trying to help him. No, I need to do things my own way. I need to do things that only I can do. Not just because my dad can do it, but because I can do it. So Suho's getting that idea. He's making his shadow soldiers appear because, remember, Beru was talking about shadow-enhanced weapons, and we haven't seen shadow-enhanced weapons in a very long time. It was, like, very early on, like the first 20, I want to say, like, the first 20 chapters was when we saw mention of shadow-enhanced weapons. And Suho was all like, yeah, I don't want to use this. I'm just going to use my bare hands and these cool gauntlets that I got. Now Suho's in a situation where he has to look past how he's been fighting this whole time and just exploring the absolute depths of how far his own power can go. And I cannot wait to see it because this is going to be a major shape-up for the Apostle, because what Suho is doing, Jin did not do. The whole thing of, because Jin relied on his own strength and the strength of his shadows and his shadow army. That's it, but mostly just his own strength, because Jin on his own is pretty much even more powerful than the entirety of his army, and his army includes Igris, well, not Beru at the moment, but Igris and Belion and every single shadow soldier he has. Jin's strength basically trumps all of them at what combined. That's how strong Jin is. But Suho and Jin never really use shadow-enhanced weapons, but Suho will, which means that whatever this Apostle saw Jin do, Suho's not going to do the exact same thing because he has access to a plethora of abilities that Jin never used because Jin was enough. The absolute power that is Jin. And Suho's about to use a fraction of that power for himself, and I feel like I can't wait to see Suho make this Shadow Monarch's Heir of the Shadow Monarch power his own, and that's really going to trip up the Apostle. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a good chapter. It's going to be a good chapter on Saturday! Next Saturday. Overall, I really did like this chapter because what we're about to see from Suho is something even the Apostle is not ready for. Overall, good chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my reaction to Solo Leveling Ragnarok Chapter 40. Can't wait to see what happens in Chapter 41. But I'm done for today for reactions, ladies and gentlemen. All I can say to you is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!